Have you ever wondered how SSL pinning bypass works in networking? Well, let's start at the beginning. SSL, or Secure Sockets Layer, is a protocol that creates a secure connection between a client and a server, over which any amount of data can be sent securely. This is crucial for networking because it ensures that data is transmitted without being intercepted or altered. Now, let's talk about SSL pinning. It's a security measure that binds a specific cryptographic public key to a server to prevent man-in-the-middle attacks. In other words, it's a way of ensuring that the server you're communicating with is indeed the one it claims to be. This is done by comparing the server's SSL certificate with a copy stored in the application. So, why is this important? Well, understanding the concept of SSL pinning is key to grasping how its bypass works. We'll delve into that in the next segment. So why would anyone want to bypass SSL pinning in the first place? Well, SSL pinning is a security measure that ensures a client application communicates only with the legitimate server it was intended to, by validating the server's SSL certificate against a copy stored in the app. However, there are instances where bypassing SSL pinning becomes necessary, especially for legitimate reasons like testing and debugging. Now let's imagine you're a developer or a network engineer. You've built this fantastic app and you've implemented SSL pinning as part of your security measures. That's great! But how do you ensure it's working as it should? This is where the need for SSL pinning bypass comes in. By bypassing SSL pinning, you can intercept and inspect the traffic between your app and the server. This allows you to test if your implementation is robust or if there are any vulnerabilities you need to address. It can also help you debug issues by letting you see exactly what data is being sent and received. Additionally, security researchers might bypass SSL pinning to conduct ethical hacking. They can analyze the traffic for any potential security flaws, helping improve the overall security of the app. But it's essential to stress this point. Bypassing SSL pinning should be done responsibly and ethically. It's not something to be used for malicious intent. It's a tool for improving and ensuring the security of an application. It's like a secret door that should only be used by those with the right intentions, to ensure the house is safe, not to rob it. Remember, just because you can bypass SSL pinning doesn't mean you should, unless you're doing it for the right reasons. And when you do, always ensure you're not violating any laws or privacy policies. Now that we've established the why, let's delve into the how. Before we can bypass SSL pinning, there are a few prerequisites we need. First and foremost, a solid understanding of networking protocols is essential. You should be comfortable with terms like HTTP, HTTPS, and SSL certificates. It's also crucial to have a good grasp of how an SSL handshake works, as this is the core process that SSL pinning enhances. Secondly, we need certain software tools. A proxy tool like Burp Suite or Charles Proxy is indispensable. These tools help you intercept and modify network traffic, a key aspect of SSL pinning bypass. Additionally, a decompiler, such as APK Tool for Android or Hopper for iOS, will be needed to reverse engineer the application and locate the SSL pinning implementation. Finally, you'll need a jailbroken or rooted device. This allows you to modify the system and app files necessary for the bypass. With these tools and knowledge at hand, we are ready to proceed. Now we're getting to the heart of the matter, the step-by-step process to bypass SSL pinning. Let's kick things off with step 1, setting up your environment. To bypass SSL pinning, we'll need a few tools. First off, we'll need a proxy tool like Burp Suite or Charles. This tool will allow us to intercept and modify the traffic between the client and the server. You'll also need a rooted or jailbroken device, as we'll need to modify some of its system files. Last but not least, we'll need a tool to disable SSL pinning, like the SSL kill switch for iOS or Just Trust Me for Android. Moving on to step 2, configuring your proxy tool. Once you've installed your proxy tool, it's time to set it up. Start by configuring your device to use the proxy tool as its network proxy. Then, install the proxy tool's certificate on your device. This will allow the tool to intercept and decrypt SSL traffic. Step 3, disabling SSL pinning. This is where the real magic happens. Using your SSL pinning disabling tool, you'll need to disable SSL pinning on your device. This step might vary depending on the device and the tool you're using, but generally, it involves modifying a system file to instruct the device to ignore SSL pinning. Step 4, intercepting and modifying traffic. With SSL pinning disabled and your proxy tool set up, you're ready to start intercepting and modifying traffic. Use your proxy tool to intercept the traffic between the client and the server. Look for the SSL handshake, where the client and server exchange certificates. Here, you can modify the server certificate to bypass SSL pinning. And finally, step 5, verifying the bypass. After modifying the server certificate, it's time to check if the bypass was successful. Try to establish a secure connection with the server. If the connection is successful, and you can see the decrypted traffic in your proxy tool, congratulations. You've successfully bypassed SSL pinning. But wait, you might say, why would I want to bypass SSL pinning in the first place? Well, bypassing SSL pinning can be useful for a number of reasons. For one, it allows you to test the security of your own applications. By bypassing SSL pinning, you can see if your app is vulnerable to man-in-the-middle attacks. It can also be useful for reverse engineering applications, as it allows you to see the traffic between the client and the server. However, it's important to note that bypassing SSL pinning should be done responsibly. It should only be used for legitimate purposes, like testing the security of your own applications or learning about network protocols. Using it to hack into other people's applications or steal data is illegal and unethical. And there you have it, a step-by-step guide to bypassing SSL pinning. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Use this knowledge wisely and never use it to harm others. Let's recap what we've learned about SSL pinning bypass. We started off by understanding the concept of SSL pinning, a security measure that ensures communication between devices and servers is safe. It's like a secret handshake, a unique identifier that verifies the authenticity of the server and protects against man-in-the-middle attacks. But why would one want to bypass this security measure? As we discussed, there are legitimate reasons for doing so. For instance, in the field of network engineering and security testing, bypassing SSL pinning can aid in identifying potential vulnerabilities in a system. It's like a locksmith testing their own locks to ensure they're burglar-proof. Before diving into the process, we highlighted the prerequisites. It's crucial to have a solid understanding of networking principles, along with a grasp of how SSL and HTTPS work. Additionally, familiarity with tools like Burp Suite or Charles Proxy is beneficial. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Bypassing SSL pinning should only be done ethically and legally. The step-by-step guide walked us through the process of bypassing SSL pinning. It's not a one-size-fits-all procedure, but rather a set of techniques that can be adapted to different situations. We delved into methods like using debuggable apps, recompiling apps with network security configuration, and using Frida, a dynamic code instrumentation toolkit. Finally, we emphasized the importance of thorough testing and validation. After bypassing SSL pinning, it's vital to ensure that the system is still secure and functioning as expected. By understanding how SSL pinning bypass works, you can enhance your networking skills and better navigate the digital landscape. Remember, the goal is not to exploit, but to understand and secure. It's about being the locksmith in a world full of locks, ensuring that the digital landscape remains safe and secure for all.